In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to deal with boards in Cakenote. More specifically, I'll be showing you how to set up board pricing, how to add your own textiles for boards, and of course, how to actually use the board pricing and textiles in a design. The intention of Cakenote is to allow you to design and price cakes that you ultimately will be creating in real life. It's a planning tool, which needs to have as much real-world data as possible in order to be as accurate as possible. So when it comes to boards, we want to have pricing and costing information in Cakenote that reflects the real costing or pricing we want when we actually sell a cake to a customer. Speaking about boards specifically, when you use a board for a cake, these are three possible things that may involve an expense to your business or an income or profit. So the first thing is the board. So this could be plastic, wood, metal, or ceramic, if you got a cake stand or something like that. But basically you are buying that thing to use for a cake, and that's an expense. In some cases you might get it produced. So when we had a cake shop, we were producing probably about 40 cakes a week at the peak of the business, and we had to get a lot of boards made. So we actually contacted a place to laser cut large sheets of MDF wood, and they cut it all for us, and obviously they charged us, per cut or whatever, but we had a whole room filled with wooden boards at different sizes and in different shapes and everything. So they were all ready to go. But yeah, that's an expense, basically. You might not make that many cakes, and you might just have to buy one piece of wood or whatever it is, but that's an expense. Income, it would be if we want to sell that physical board, whether it's plastic, wood, metal, or whatever, whether we want to sell that to the customer with a marked up price. That would be an income. The second thing is coating. So obviously you want to coat your board with either a textile or material, or you want to put a ribbon around the edge, or you want to put some fondant onto the surface and do some kind of decoration with fondant. All of those things would incur an expense of some sort. Okay, and we can obviously sell those things at a higher price to make a profit. And the third thing would be the actual work involved to do that thing. So to either put the material on the board or to do the fondant work or whatever it is, that would be a service or a work which you could charge for as well. And the cost there would be if you had to pay somebody to do it for you, or your own time cost to do it. And obviously you could charge people money for that, and that would be an income. You could of course just ignore the last option and factor in any kind of service or work action taken into the selling price for the board or the coating. So Cakenote allows you to do all of these, or none if you prefer. It's completely up to you how you want to set up your costing and pricing for your business. So I'm going to now walk you through the setup process for each of these scenarios in Cakenote, and then show you how to actually apply them to a design. So let's start with the first option, which is charging your customer for the actual board. To do this, we need to set up or adjust the board pricing in our Cakenote settings. So we go to Settings, and we go to Pricing. So on this pricing page, you're going to see a whole range of different tabs up the top here that cover different pricing situations in Cakenote. Okay. And the first one is boards, which is what we're after right now. So here you can set up as many different pricing sort of items as you want. Okay. These ones here are just default ones that we've put into Cakenote because we've used MDF wood to make boards. So that's what we put in here. But of course you can put your own, and I'll do that right now. So you click on Add New. You give your board pricing a name. So let's just say board price. So the unit is basically how you want to calculate how much you sell the board for and how it's costed as well. So if I select per item, it doesn't matter what size the board is that I apply this board pricing to, it will always cost $2 and it will always cost $10. Okay, so that's a simple way to not worry about the size. But the better way to do it is if you change this to 1 meter square, you can now cost it per meter square. And you'd have to just calculate how much a board costs you based on the size as well, and just put that in here. Okay, but I'm just going to leave this as it is. So it's $2 per meter square for me to buy a board, and I want to sell it at $10 per meter square. That's for the actual board. So let's go ahead and create that. Now that we've set up our board pricing, we can use this pricing on the board when designing a cake. I will show you how to do this later in the tutorial. For now, let's continue to set up our textiles. So to go to textiles, we will find textiles over here and click on textiles. This will bring up our textile list. And we actually put in all of these velvet boards because this is what we worked with for many years. We used to buy big rolls of velvet like this and cover the boards with velvet. So we've put all these in here as system assets, which you can use. And obviously you can change the pricing and everything if you want. But of course you might be in a different situation where you don't actually use velvet, you might use something else. So you would need to put that in here as a textile first. So before I go ahead and add new textiles, I'll show you how I've prepared some images. So these are the set of textiles that I've taken from various websites that sell material. Obviously you'd want to have these match real world scenario. So maybe you can actually buy materials and take photos of it and then put it into Cakenote yourself. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to go through the process of adding new textiles now, and I'll show you how it's done. So add new textile. And just because I don't want to think about it, I'm just going to call these textile 1 and so on. I'll just create a new category here called boards tutorial and put it in there. Okay, tags and notes, don't worry about it. Okay, and let's go ahead and select our image for this. So you click on select image, then you upload image. Okay, and I'm going to upload this from Boards tool, textiles. Okay, here we go. This one, open. And it's going to upload that image. And actually, while I'm here, I'm just going to upload all of the images so I don't have to keep doing this. So upload. You can select multiple. No, you can't. Let's go one by one. I'm just going to fast forward this process. Also keep in mind that what we're actually doing here is uploading images to the images library, okay? Because we could use these images for other things as well. Like you might want to make this pattern on the cake, and you can actually use that to create a new surface decor, okay? So this upload screen here is just showing you the images library where we can upload images to the image library and select them. So now that I'm ready and I've uploaded all my images, I'm just going to select the first one here and click select. And it'll put it into here, right? This is my textile 1. And now obviously for costing, you could, I'm not going to talk about custom pricing, group pricing. Let's just ignore that for now. I'll show you that in a different tutorial. But for now, it's the same, pretty much the same principle as before. So do you want to charge your customers for this material per meter or per board, basically? So I'm going to go ahead and do per meter. And the website where I took this image from, it was an online store. So I could actually go to that shop and buy this material if I wanted. And on the website, it actually had a cost of $15 per meter. So I can go ahead and put that into here as a cost. $15 per meter. Okay, and I want to sell this at, you know, it's up to you if you don't want to make a profit off the material. But like I said before, you might want to factor in the actual work to put this material onto the board over here. So, you know, you could charge, say, $25 a meter. So when I use this material on the board on the designer, it's going to calculate the price and the cost based on these numbers and based on how big the board is. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave that. So $15 per meter for cost and $25 per meter to sell. Okay, let's create that. And there's my textile 1. Now just to speed things up in this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and add all the other textiles and get back to you shortly. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added all those textiles in. You can see them here. And if I switch this to a grid view, you'll be able to see it better. So textile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I've just set them all to be the same price, which is $15 per meter cost and $25 per meter to sell. Going back to the chart I was showing you before, for the last option here, of charging your customers for the actual service or physical action of covering the board, I'm actually going to skip this step as I believe it overcomplicates things and it falls outside of the scope of this tutorial. I'll cover this and other related topics in another tutorial called How to Add Additional Costs to Your Design or Order. But basically, it just deals with services, labor cost, extra work, and all those kinds of things that you can add to a design and an order. So let's now go to the designer and see how we can use all this costing and pricing information that we've set up on an actual board while designing a cake. So I'm going to go click on Add New Design. Now I'm going to add a board, and I'll make it 6mm thick by, say, let's use 500 millimeters diameter, just so we can actually see how the pricing works, because it's half a meter basically. So we'll add that in. Now that we have a board selected, we can use the board tool. If I don't have a board selected, the board tool won't work. Okay, so I'll select the board and I'll click on the board tool, and this is the board tool. So firstly, board pricing, you'll see here, this is where we can select our board pricing that we set up in the pricing settings. So I'll go here and I'll select board price. Right now, as you can see here, because it's $10 per meter square, right, the price is actually $2.50, and that's because it's per meter square. And since we've got 500 millimeters here, that actually ends up to be a quarter of a meter square, and that's why it's $2.50. Now, of course, when you wrap the textile around the board, there might be a little bit more material used than what's actually being calculated here. And for that, you would just have to compensate for that and increase the price a bit more from the pricing settings. Down here, we have our textiles. So basically, we can choose any of the textiles that we've got in our system assets here, which is under the velvet category. So if I was to click on one of these, it would just add the material onto the board like that. Okay. Let's find the ones that we've actually added ourselves. So here's boards tutorial, which is the category I made. Click on that and then click on the material, and it'll put the board material straight on the board like that. Okay. There's some additional settings down here which you can use, which basically changes the size of the material on it. But these controls don't actually change pricing or anything. It's just for visual purposes on the canvas. Also notice that after I clicked on this textile here, an extra section appeared up here, which is textile pricing. So this is where you can see the actual cost and the price of the textile being calculated, right? So you can see here $25 per meter square equals $7.73. Okay, and it's calculating that based on the 500 millimeter board that I have here. As you can see, I can just select any of these other textiles and it just adds it on, and it looks great. So just before I wrap this video up, I want to talk about a couple other things you can do with boards. You can also cover the board with surface decor, which is basically like covering it with fondant or any kind of decoration that you've got like that. But just bear in mind that just like how we added the textiles, you would have to go to surface decor and add your own surface decor decorations and things like that. So basically do it in real life, take a photo of it and put it into Cakenote, and that's how you can use it and add a price for it and everything. So let's say I wanted to make this like an ocean and I wanted to put like some kind of royal icing paletted texture on it, on the surface. Okay, so what I would do is I'd just select top view, and I would select our system asset here, like rustic icing, and I'd click on that. Now you can see it's applied that only onto the top of the board because I've got this selected here. Okay, and as you can see, it's already calculating pricing for that based on what's set up in that surface decor item. So I'm going to go down here and I'll just make this a little bit less transparent. So the reason why this is a gray color is because these textured items here don't actually have color in them, or some of them don't, some of them do, but this particular one doesn't, because this is actually a raster image. These ones here are all vectors. You can actually change the colors of those, but I'm using this one and it's a raster image. So if you don't see a color option here, like if I apply this one here, you'll see color options appear, you see, and I can change the color, right? But if you don't see a color option appear, it means that this is a raster image, not a vector image, and therefore it has no color controls with it. Okay, to change the color of this, you would have to control the opacity here, make it a little bit transparent, and then just go to the regular fill tool. Before I do that, I'll just switch this to the entire thing. Then go to the regular fill tool over here and change the color. As I want blue, because it's the ocean. So as you can see now, I've got this surface decor applied, which is a rustic icing texture. Okay, and because it's transparent down here, I've applied a color to using the fill tool to the entire board, just to give it like that ocean look. And that's basically how you do it. So it's calculating what it would cost and how much I would want to charge for creating this rustic icing texture on the surface of the board, okay, based on its size and everything. And the other thing I wanted to show you is how to add ribbons to a board. So you can use the ribbon tool with the board selected and add a ribbon. This will show you the heights of the ribbon based on what you've got selected. So the maximum here would be 6mm because the board is 6mm. So let's select that and give it a color so you can see that it's actually added a ribbon there around the board. Okay. Obviously there's more to go through here, which I'm not going to go through in this video. I'll make a separate video for the ribbon tool. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. I hope I didn't go too quickly and cover too many things here to make it too complicated. If you need any assistance with anything, please contact us using the form on our website or via the chat widget in the bottom right corner within Cakenote down here. Thank you for watching.